And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside Los
Angeles. I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Cobrin's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to The Bald Truth. Phone number 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Toll free, of course, live coast to coast and worldwide here on the internet. I want to welcome everyone who is listening and watching through the GFQ network at gfqlive.tv, of course, here on stickam.com and Ustream and on Justin TV, and who you guys who are listening on Stitcher Radio and all the other places we're being syndicated now. Welcome to the broadcast, 888-659-3727. Very interesting weekend. I'm very interested in hearing from my friends on the East Coast, all you New Yorkers. I wanted to see how Johnny Ohio made out, which I don't think he was hit too hard with the storm. I'm not sure. But I have a very interesting story to tell you guys, but I want to take a phone call first because I have a feeling this is Joe, and I want to see how he's doing because I'm a little concerned about him. Hey, is this Joe?
Sure is.
Well, how are you, man? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to have an opening statement. I'd like to thank that world-renowned psychic, Emma Geller, for really making my day. She has predicted a cure for meltdown baldness within 10 years, derived from wheatgrass, from an enzyme, which will be from a female doctor. Emma, you've got to be kidding. How dare you make it...
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, I cut you off there. Finish your opening. What were you going to say?
Well, that was a little rude, man. But
yeah, I have my moments.
I'm just teasing you. No, my point is, you know, most psychics do their research, so-called psychics, before making statements. And this woman, obviously, they're insane or very ignorant. But I tend to think she's more on the ignorant side. I mean, doesn't she realize all the things that are coming out the next few years? I mean, to make a statement like that is like, she must be totally ignorant, and it's insensitive to hair loss sufferers to even say something like so ludicrous.
Dude, first of all, she's a psychic. I mean, that's enough said right there. The fact that you're even concerned about what this psychic says, and the fact that I know it got a little play on the internet. I know some of the guys on the message forums posted it.
I wouldn't say a little play. A lot of awful lot of play.
She's a psychic. All right, think about that. I knew people in the 900 number business many years ago. I knew people who owned psychic lines, and I can tell you, it is for the most part. Maybe there are some people out there that have these, special gifts or powers, where they're somehow able to get a vibe and predict the future. I don't know. But I can tell you this, that the vast majority of people that claim to be psychics out there, in my view, are nothing but charlatans.
That's
I knew guys
true.
who ran these lines. Basically, they taught these housewives how to read tarot cards and charge these poor, and usually it's people who are like, possibly, close to the poverty level. People really don't have the money to spend $4.99 a minute on a psychic reading. And they were spending their hard-earned money on these women who were making like, $10 an hour in their bathrobes.
Right, but my point is, I won't discuss Emma personally, but I do believe most psychics are charlatans. But their ritual is to do research, before speaking with a so-called client or making a statement. this demonstrates how people in the public, how ignorant they really are to what's going on in the hair loss field.
Oh, we know that, Joe.
Trying to make.
That's why I'm still on the air after 14 years.
And it really upset me, but it proved one point to me. In general, non-loss hair loss sufferers are really stupid. That's the sad part.
Well, it's not that they're stupid. It's just that we're desperate.
No, I'm saying people who are not hair loss sufferers.
Oh, who are not hair loss sufferers. Okay, I didn't hear you.
Know nothing about what's going on in the field of hair restoration.
Right.
All the scientific breakthroughs and everything that's going on, that they make outrageous statements.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable.
I didn't have my Joe Speak decoder ring, so I didn't know what you were talking about. I'm sorry. So tell me, so what's going on?
I have some breaking news for tonight, but I'm sure you want to know about the so-called hurricane of New York.
Absolutely.
Well, I was secured on my bed in my rain gear in case the roof leaked.
Yeah.
I had my yellow raincoat on, my yellow rain cap. That was my biggest fear of, possibly, damaging, somehow damaging the little hair I had on top. That was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Of like the roof blowing off or the wind getting to me.
I can understand that,
my
Joe.
bed with, excuse me?
I can understand that.
I was secured in my bedroom with, rain gear on and door locked. But, I peered out the window and actually nothing happened. Nothing. So some mild rain, which I told my lovely wife that would happen. It was over dramatized.
Well, what's interesting, I heard there's a lot of issues in Staten Island. So maybe for whatever reason, your area of Staten Island, which Staten Island's really not that big. I mean, there were a couple of floods. I know there was. I saw one image on Fox News of a flooded parking lot, which looked pretty severe.
Well, in my immediate area, as you know, I'm pretty much homebound.
Yes.
I have not.
Sadly.
Yes, I've not witnessed really anything, or anyone I know have had any problems on Staten Island. I do condemn the news for really playing on people's fears with this. I mean, they, in a weird sense, I got the impression they kind of seem to enjoy all this. Maybe it's me. I don't know. That's the impression I received.
I wouldn't worry about that. So what else do you got?
Well, I have some, nothing groundbreaking, but I do have some information for our hair loss audience tonight. As you know, Replicel has been put out some new videos.
Tell us about them.
And they are, I tell you, they are pretty impressive. They have several of their doctors come on, presenting their, they've been at this for 9 years right now. They are in phase 2 trials now in Europe. I believe I think it's Georgia, some type of a satellite of former Soviet Union.
Correct.
Okay, and
it's not a satellite, but yeah, go ahead. It's a country.
Well, a country. It was formerly part of the Soviet Union.
Yes.
Formerly a satellite within the Soviet Union. The bottom line is this: they're new. Let me tell you something. I've dissected their new videos. They're really incredible. I mean, what they're saying. Bottom line is they think, the boldest man could be helped with this. I mean, they know at 50 could be helped with this.
Exactly. Just to give you guys some inside news, I was actually contacted by the people at Replicel. They want to do something here at the Bald Truth. I was contacted about a week and a half ago, I think, or maybe even longer. I was actually out of town when they contacted me. I had corresponded with them to some degree, but the people over at Replicel. So we will be able to get an interview, and hopefully we'll be able to do something, I don't know, maybe this week.
So should I start preparing this evening?
Should you what?
Should I start preparing my...
Yes, prepare your questions this evening. I don't know if it's going to be live or not. I know that one of the representatives of the company was going to be here in Los Angeles, and I was not here to have him into the studio, but I can definitely do something via Skype or on the phone.
Right. Well, let me tell the audience, according to them, all they have to do is extract a 1 4-millimeter punch, which is like 7 or 8 hairs approximately, and they can grow millions of cells from that and inject it into the scalp and give a person a full head of hair.
Right, and that's the holy grail. That's what we were all looking for. And if that happens, holy cow, it's all over. Hasta mañana. I'll see all you suckers later. Because I'm getting the rest of my hair back, and I'm skipping town. I'm out of here.
Well, I hope you don't drop me, man.
No, I'll stay in touch with you, Joe. Maybe Andrew, maybe Suncast, maybe Johnny. maybe I'll give a shout out to Piedmont once in a while. Froggy, UB's in the room.
What's most exciting about this is this will not need any type of FDA approval because, like PRP, is from your own body.
Right.
There's no chemicals involved with this or drugs.
Well, and that's what's exciting. And listen, you have some real science behind Replicel, some real scientists involved, some real guys who have really been in the hair game for a long time. So it's not some fly-by-night situation. I'm excited about it. We will be talking to them very shortly. Hopefully they can give us some inside information that, has not been released yet to give you guys a little bit more, just a little bit more to go on. I think they're for real, but we'll see.
Well, honestly, they can't give too much information because the competition is breathing down their necks, and they're dealing with a $1 trillion discovery.
That's correct.
Now, my second piece of information is our good friend Dr. Ronald Loster of Germany and his staff in Berlin has also put out a new video on YouTube. Talking about his protocol.
I want you to describe the protocol to the audience.
Well, actually, it's very similar to what Replicel is doing. They're growing hair. They're taking a tiny biopsy from the patient, and they're putting it in a petri dish and making numerous amounts of hair outside of the body for re-implantation into the scalp, creating a full head of hair. And what I found very interesting when I was dissecting this video was that these two, Ronald Loster and his associate, are both know it's 6s and 7s.
Right.
And I found that to be more encouraging, than anything else.
Well, because they're doing it for themselves. They want this to happen. They don't want to be Norwood 6s.
Right, and it also do it for the trillions of dollars they're going to make too. I think doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, the money doesn't hurt either. No, it's exciting stuff. Again, we got a lot of emails this week because of what's been being put out there online. I don't have the answers for everybody. I get bombarded with emails, and people expect me to take the time and answer every single email with information I just don't have. So I don't mean to sound frustrated, Joe, but since you brought up the subject, it's been crazy this week. Absolutely crazy. So I'm going to try to get the information out to all of you through our resources. We're lucky enough to be in a position where these companies are contacting us. So it's great. We will get it out there. But the truth of the matter is there's only so much inside information that I have, especially when it comes to companies like this. It's kind of different when, dealing with the world of hair transplantation. There's a lot of information that's kind of, provided to me and stuff that, I'm made privy to before a lot of you guys are. I can definitely get, to the main people and get information out to you that way. But I don't have any secrets. I'm not holding the cards here. So I'm just putting that out there because one email in particular that I got was insane. And it was actually borderline threatening. And I think maybe you know who you are. It's not, anybody.
I hope it's the same individual. I think.
No, it's not anybody that you know. Not anybody that we talk about on the show. But it was like the rants of a lunatic, and and it was Dave forwarded it to me. Not Dave Salazzo, another Dave that's working with the Bald Truth, and I didn't even know what to make of it. And I think to myself, God, why do I still do this? These guys think that I'm somehow holding the key, and I'm just continuing to hold this back from millions of hair loss sufferers because I'm somehow making a profit off of doing what I'm doing, and I'm worried about losing my gig. It's crazy.
How ignorant are you, detractors? Don't they realize if you had the Holy Grail, you'd be making trillions of dollars? You'd be making 10,000 times what you're making now? How stupid are they?
It's pretty stupid. There's a lot of really stupid people in this world. And you know what? Since I've been involved on the internet since about 1995, 1996, I realized how crazy people, a larger percentage of people than I ever realized really are. Now I live my life much differently. I'm on the freeway or I'm going to a store. You never know what's up with these people. You never know if some guy is, paying a teenager to take him in the back of the 7-Eleven and kick him in the nuts. Or you never know if the guy sitting next to you is, is in his house wearing panties and tweeting pictures to underage girls. It's a crazy world, man. It's frightening.
But you have to admit, hair loss sufferers, I think, have more psychiatric issues than your average person.
I think that hair loss sufferers have a lot of their psychiatric issues are exacerbated by their hair loss, and I think that some people, and I would include myself in the mix.
And myself.
Well, but I think that you had some psychological issues before you started to lose your hair because you were so obsessed about the potential of losing hair. I wasn't really prone to depression, luckily, even though it runs in my family and other things. This was really the tipping point for me. This is what really set me, set the stage for me to, deal with what I dealt with for at least the first few years of my hair loss. And it was powerful. Really, it affected my life in a very profound way. So,
believe me.
Say that again?
I could really identify with that. Believe me.
Why, Joe? I know you can, bro. I know you can. Let me give out the phone number: 888-659-3727. Go ahead.
Before we go to your next call, please, just one final piece of information for our viewers. As you know, Bimatoprost, the active ingredient in Latisse, is about to go off patent within the next 2 months.
Yes.
And Allegan Corporation's attorneys are desperately trying to prevent other companies from making generic Bimatoprost.
Tell me how they're trying. Tell me how they're doing this. Tell me how they're desperately attempting to do this.
Well, as you know, I'm not an attorney.
Right. Well, you're not?
No, I do have a legal background.
Oh, okay.
They're taking these companies to court.
Right.
Because they know damn well what they're going to be doing with this generic Bimatoprost. It ain't going to be for eyelash.
That's correct.
I mean, these doctors, some of these so-called physicians, will be buying it up in large quantities and mixing up their own solution.
They will be. They definitely will be. And listen, that's the way that it is. That's the way that I mean. What are you going to do? The only issue that I have with that is, we don't know how much is needed to actually effectively work for hair loss. Right.
That's my point. The point is, it can't, well, if you could buy it really cheap and make a very high concentration of it, I think it could be somewhat effective. But, as you know, I'm not a physician or a scientist, so I can't say that. Definitely, that's just my personal observation.
Well, Joe, I will tell you that tonight's update has probably been the one of the most enlightening updates, and you brought a lot of stuff to the table, and I appreciate it. I'm sure that our listeners are, really thankful as well.
Well, I have at least another 3 pages of information. Would you like to go on?
We can go on, but you know what? Let's take a phone call, and then we can get back to you. All right? Let's see who this is.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time, man.
You're quite welcome. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer, how you doing?
Johnny, what's happening, bro? How are you?
Hey, Johnny.
Doing good. Joe, my hair loss brother from another mother, how are you?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't killed in hurricanes. What can I say?
Well, I was thinking about you and Andrew and Jess and those folks. Spencer, how's your dad? How'd he make it through it?
Well, believe it or not, my dad had a little accident last night. He's okay.
Sorry
but
to hear that.
Luckily, it wasn't that bad in Manhattan because, we have this medical alert type of thing from ADT. And his girlfriend pressed the button. My father tried to get up and do something like turn off the air conditioner or something, and he fell, which is pretty frightening when the guy's like, almost 88 years old. But he didn't break anything. They just kind of called the ambulance just to make sure that he was okay, and they got there very quickly. But, in my mind, and I know obviously it was not done purposely, but I'm thinking to myself, of all nights, public transit is closed. They're thinking it's going to be like the worst hurricane since the 1800s in New York, and my father does this. He decides to get up when he never gets up on his own. But luckily he's fine, and he kind of laughed it off, and all's well that ends well, I guess. But
well, that's good.
Yeah, but thanks for asking. So what about you? What about you? What's going on with you?
Well, I went to see a Heart and Def Leppard Wednesday night.
Dude, you're really, really dating yourself, but that's very cool.
Yes, I am, and everyone there was dating themselves, too.
But, I mean, basically, Heart, these girls are like 60 years old. How old are they?
You're dropping out a little bit here on the
man, phone. I'm so sorry about the phone. Meanwhile, these girls are like 60 years old by now.
Ann Wilson's 61 and Nancy's 57, and man, could they jump around? And they were. You would never know it, man. They were just all over the stage.
Your phone is
a good time.
Your phone just dropped a little bit. Maybe. Hey, Joe, while I have you guys both on the line, how's my phones on your end?
Yes, you drop it on my end, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're dropping out here too.
All right. Well, it is what it is until I can finally get it fixed. But
okay,
I'm glad that you had a good time, man. You really did.
Oh man, it was great.
So, were you a lot of Norwoods in the audience?
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah.
We could have took the doctors on the list, and we could have probably had a clinic there.
Yeah, that's what you got to do when you go to like these old time, rock and roll concerts, man. You set up a little booth, a little hair loss conversation, a little hair transplant consultation at the Heart concert.
Well, the drummer for Heart, I mean, he looked like he was about a Norwood 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But the guy could play, man. I'm telling you, it was a good concert. It was it's refreshing to know that I've got something to look forward to in my 50s and 60s.
Oh, absolutely. So did you go with your wife, or did you go with
my wife, my brother, and his wife?
Wow.
We had a good time.
That's it.
Real good time. And then the tornado went through where we live, so.
And
what was that, Joe?
Go ahead.
I hope you left your hat on during the show.
Oh, yeah, I did, Joe. That's mandatory.
Yeah, he's not going to go to a rock concert without his hat, Joe. Come on.
That's right, Joe. Come on. I was prepared, Joe.
But like Johnny was saying, Joe, you definitely brought, and I hope you guys can somehow make me out through the phone because I know it's dropping in and out. But Joe brought some really good news to the table, and the truth of the matter is, we are getting closer. We're getting closer, but we'll see. I definitely am hedging my bets with the guys up in Canada. What do you think, Joe?
I'm so far. I'm mostly, I'm a student of hair loss, as you know, and to tell you the truth, I'm the most impressed with Replicel because they've been at it the longest. Number one, and their presentation of their facts seemed the most impressive to me. The other people seem kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Next to them, maybe help me out.
Amateurish.
Yes, to put it mildly.
Less than legitimate. I'm not saying that they are. I'm not saying that they are.
I'm not saying Adirond's.
Oh, Adirond's obviously. We know. Listen, the bottom line is there's hope, and I think that you're bringing good news to the table. But I'm going to take a quick break, Johnny. I'm glad that you're okay.
I appreciate that.
I'm glad you guys are okay too, man. I was glad to see that Andrew and his crew and your dad and Joe are all safe and sound. That's you know what, you can't ask for more.
That's right, man. And you know what, I'm a little worried about George. He hasn't been calling lately, so I hope that he's okay. Let me give up the phone number, guys. If you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss, it's the Hair Loss Show. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Coburn. You're listening to The Bald Truth. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us.
I just noticed something that in one of your interviews with John Candy, I believe, it looked like an older interview, you had less hair than you have today. How do you explain that?
I don't wear a wig, sir.
Paint your bald spot?
What bald spot?
You paint your bald spot?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. My hair grows.
You paint your bald spot?
I don't have a bald spot.
How come you had less hair on the tape?
Maybe my hair grew. Maybe I had a bad haircut that day. By the way, something. What do you care?
Paint your bald spot?
I don't. Do you paint your bald spot?
Paint your bald spot?
Sick.
Hi, this is Amy in Orange County, and I'm calling to find out exactly what Dave the intern looks like. So I want to let you guys know that I listen to the Bald Truth every single week, and I don't have a shred of hair problems. I just dig the show.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free phone number. You are listening to and watching The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys and, of course, for girls who unfortunately get it. 2/3 of men by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss, but 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. It's an insane statistic, but it's true. It's the way that it is. You see girls walking around every day, 25, 26, 27 years old, dealing with significant hair loss. You may not see that it's visible because, they have, different options than men as far as covering their hair loss with wigs and falls and extensions and things like that. Very few women will walk around with extensive hair loss or significant hair loss without trying to cover it up. But the truth is they are suffering. They are suffering as much as men. So if you are dealing with hair loss and you're a woman, please check out Women's Hair Loss Project. It is the largest online social community, that was hard to say, for women dealing with hair loss. They also have a great forum, great information, great blog. It is a great place for women who are dealing with hair loss. That's womenshairlossproject.com. Oh, hey, Jess, how are you? Jess just entered the room. It's always good to see you. Then we got the phone number, 888-659-3727, 888-659-3727. I will pot up Joe and Johnny. Guys, sorry about the phones. It's a hit or miss situation with the bandwidth, but that will be fixed once I get a new line in here for the phone only. So please bear with me. Joe brought to light tonight that, talking about Replicel, which honestly, it's one of the more, in my view, legitimate companies out there that have joined the race to cure hair loss. And I think that the company has a great vision. Initially they came out with basically just a almost like a mission statement in a sense with their original website. And so there was a lot of raised eyebrows, but now I think they've really done a much better job explaining what they are doing, talking about the principles in the company like Kevin McGowie and what's his name, Shapiro, and guys who have really been involved in the hair world for a long time, and they're real scientists. So I'm excited about it, Joe. I'm excited about it, Johnny, and everyone else who's listening. And I think that, maybe in the next 2 years, we're going to have this breakthrough. And I hope to have them on the program, or at least conduct an interview with them and play segments of it on the program, maybe this week. And hopefully we'll also be able to get some stuff out there, some more detailed stuff out there on thebaldtruth.com. All right, Joe, would that satisfy you?
Yes. Would you like me to contact you or your staff with a list of questions, or can I give you a few questions now?
Why don't you send me an email with everything that you want to know? And also, just write down the questions that all these other guys on the message forums want to know, and I'll make sure that I ask them. Is that cool?
Yeah, I understand that.
You understand that? You could ask some questions now. You tell me what you want to ask. You can ask them right now.
I guess just three quick questions I have, really. First question is, what is the time frame? Second question is, will it need FDA approval? Which I don't think it will.
Right.
And will
I gotta put Johnny on hold because he's always working with some machinery or like cleaning the litter box or something. Wow.
Do you believe it will grow a full head of hair in someone who is in No at 7? They've stated this already. Those are basically the questions the only questions you really have to ask. And finally, my fourth question is, will the approximate cost be? Equivalent to $35,000 to $40,000, to me, is well worth it.
Well, the business end of this company, David Hall, the CEO and the president, he really has a very strong mission, and it's very powerful when you read it on the website. But he's also, he's also cautious when he talks about this process and what he writes about it on the website. And he's not saying, his goal is, and their goal is to really eliminate hair loss. But, even if it significantly reduces, the effects of hair loss, meaning that we can go out there and maybe have to do multiple procedures throughout many years to just maintain the hair. If it's not just, a 1 or 2 shot deal, it's still going to be life-changing. And those who are able to afford it will have this done.
In my evaluation is you will need booster injections every couple of years, which to me is fine.
Dude, are you kidding me, man? I will be... What? Say it again?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Say what you're going to say.
I said, please.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that would be fine with me to need booster injections every couple of years.
Dude, I would be if I had to go once a week. If I had to fly to another country once a month to get this done, I would.
And the sad part is some of the people. Hello, do you hear me?
I hear you.
Some of the people in our community are already complaining about they may have to go for booster injections. I mean, some people in our community, I hate to say it, do need psychiatric help, man. Really.
Really. And not to sound out of the way here, not to insult you in any way, but there have been people over the years, and I know you're aware of this, that have maybe suggested that you get some help as well.
Oh, I am under the care of a psychiatrist, as you know, and I'm on multiple psychotropic medications.
You need to change your shrink, though, Joe. I'm telling you, bro. I love you. You know, you're a friend of the show. You're a friend of mine. You know, you're part of this unfortunate fraternity and part of the family. You got to find somebody else. You got to find another shrink.
Well, you know, I'm just saying. I may have, as you know, I am. I do have a lot of psychiatric issues, but I'm not ignorant like a lot of people I see in these, especially that certain site I won't mention on the air. Are really losing it, man.
Yeah, but you got to understand that's what keeps some of these websites going, Joe. That's what It's that type of mentality. The guys that are willing to spend day after day posting these long diatribes about things that they don't really know about. That's what keeps that particular site in business. So I get it. I get why it's allowed. I choose not to allow certain things on Bald Truth Talk, or I'm not going to say not allow, but we kind of like to keep it at a minimum. You know, if there's if there's no point to something, if people are if there's a lot of infighting and a lot of back and forth bullshit, it's got to be stopped, because the site should not be about politics, or really it's about people sharing their ideas, information, their hope and their strength, and letting professionals go in there and answer questions for those who are really in need. That's what the site's about. But some sites aren't run like that, and I'm not even judging it. I mean, that's the way that's their business model. It works for them. They get advertisers, and it works for them. But unfortunately, it does at times, cause a lot of confusion for people.
I mean, these people, it's so sad. They're actually threatening each other's lives, some of them. I mean, it's really bizarre. Am I correct?
It is, but that's the internet. That's the craziness of the internet. It's insane. You have guys out there that think they found the cure for hair loss in all different types of ways, whether it's, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into it, but it's either some lotion, some potion, or guys that, think that if they pluck their body hair, you're going to grow, head hair, or if you stop ejaculating, that it's going to be a cure for hair loss. It's the way that it is.
I have to say one final thing. The most insane thing that I've read on the internet is people who think that you have to cure the hair loss and you're withholding it from hair loss sufferers. That is really insane, to say the least.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, dude. It is what it is. I do this little show and, get the information out to as many people as we can. We're helping a lot of people as far as, providing them a safe place to get information, to learn about surgical hair restoration, to avoid the pitfalls of the industry. That's really my job. If I was somehow able to bring a cure to the table, that would be unbelievable. I would love to do that, but I don't have it. I'm not holding it back. I don't have any information that, I wouldn't share with you guys.
But any intelligent person realizes what you're saying, because you would multiply your income 10,000 times over, and that's being conservative.
Forget about multiplying my income. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here doing this show.
You'd be on the front page of Time magazine. You'd be a billionaire. This is why I can't understand how anyone could even think such an insane thing.
Dude, I would be doing my show would be much more fun. I'd have like hookers in the room. It would be awesome.
I mean, it's really insane. And just two things on a personal note. Thank God your father did not break his hip, because that would have been a big problem. I'm very happy.
It was terrifying to get that call. Terrifying, let me tell you. And I've gotten some terrifying calls in my life. And so when you get a call in the middle of the night, it's never good.
No, I know that.
It's never good. So
right away, who died or what's the matter?
Absolutely.
Thank God for that. And also, I'm concerned about George. He seemed very depressed the last few weeks. So I'm really starting to get concerned about it.
Well, he has emailed me. You know, he forwards me a lot of these, political emails and, some interesting stuff. So he's definitely around. I don't know if he just can't get through. I don't know if it's phones. I don't know if he's just been busy, doing his thing. But I'm sure he's fine. But I'll give out the phone number in case not that he doesn't know it, but it's 888-659-3727. I'll pot up Johnny. Maybe he's finished cleaning his toilets. Hey, Johnny.
Yeah, by the way, your phones are much improved. You're not breaking up.
Yeah, your phones have gotten better. No, what I was doing is moving around in the chair. I know it's. You hear me well, but you're real low.
I just like to bust your balls, man.
And you know what? Somebody needs to. Here, you see what?
What are you doing on the chair, man?
I'm actually slouched in the chair, Joe, with my keyboard.
What were you doing on the chair? I was wondering. My imagination was running away with me.
Oh my God!
It's not what you think. Trust me. So, is this company? I don't know if I'm going out on a limb, but is this company a publicly traded company?
Not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wait a second. You know what? I'm sorry. You're right. I'm actually looking at it right now. It is actually, and you can get all the stock info here at Replicel.com.
Okay.
So it's Replicel Life Sciences Inc. The exchange is OTCBB. The symbol is REPCF. So it's pretty exciting, and they're a British Columbia company, so they're our partners up in North America. So
I've got a couple questions on that. Now, how is it delivered? I know Joe was off the air. Joe was saying something about they take like a biopsy and inject it into the scalp to have it multiply. Is that how it works?
Well, basically, it's like these other processes where they take a biopsy and then they are going to culture the biopsy, right, Joe?
Right. They take a 4-millimeter punch, which is approximately eight hairs, and they culture the cell. They somehow extract the cells from those hairs, and they claim they multiply into millions of cells, which will be injected into the scalp, inducing dormant hair follicles to reawaken and also creating new hair follicles.
Now, Kevin McGowan, you've read the message forums for years, Joe. Kevin McGowan and Ralph Hoffman really were kind of talking about this. Kevin McGowan actually has a website called keratin.com. So there's a lot of information out that he put out over the years to help hair loss sufferers. And he did talk about some of his findings over the years. And basically, Replicel was put together based on his findings and Hoffman's findings. So this is real science. It's exciting. They're getting closer and closer to making this real. I have a lot of trust in Kevin McGowan. I actually asked him to be on the medical board of the American Hair Loss Association a few years ago. He did accept. We never, finished the paperwork and got things hooked up, and that's on me. But he's definitely somebody that I really admire, and he's a great guy. I was lucky enough to have lunch with him here in Los Angeles probably about 8 years ago at Houston's in Century City. Very shy guy when you speak to him, very reserved, is not a bullshit artist.
So basically this has more potential than ACell.
In my view, absolutely. In my view, if this happens, this is truly the Holy Grail.
So people that have had traumatized scalps like myself, Joe, and others, they would be able to possibly rejuvenate or wake up the dormant hair cells, and they would start growing.
That's exactly it. Basically, what they would do is they would be able to take your DHT-resistant cells. They would be able to obviously extract them, replicate them, and then reimplant them or re-inject them into the scalp. And go ahead.
Okay. So they would do, and I'm just thinking out loud here. They do multiple injections within the scalp. Now, I guess here's where the rubber meets the road. What would something like that cost? I know it's pretty hard for you to.
Well, after speaking to the guys over at Replicel, before it was Replicel, when it was Trico Science, and I haven't spoken to them since. They did leave Well, that's not true. I spoke to one representative, and she recently left a message. But she wasn't as thorough as this other guy that I spoke to originally. They said that the cost is going to be relatively minimal, probably about the cost of a lower end hair transplant.
So we're talking maybe. I'm just going to throw a figure up, $10,000.
I would say probably less. I'm not going to make any promises, but
you can't pigeonhole it.
Yeah, but they're trying to get it where it's going to be affordable to the masses.
So I may someday have Andrew Zarian hair.
If you never had Andrew Zarian hair, which most people never have, then
Right.
probably not.
No, but did a little shtick there, but this is really encouraging.
Well, you know what? Go to
my spirits up.
Go to Replicel, REPLICEL.com, and you can check it out. There's also some stuff online on YouTube. You know, I want to help to get a better understanding of this for everybody, and obviously for myself as well. So I will call the rep back. I just haven't had time. And I'm sorry if anyone from Replicel is listening, especially Kevin, because I know Kevin personally. I apologize for not getting back to you guys, but I have been busy the last week and a half. I will try to get them on the air sometime this week, maybe live next week, but at the very least, I'd like to get a taped interview.
Have you, and I know this is breaking, but have you heard anything from any of the top transplant doctors about this?
Not about this, but there is going to be some interesting news. Jerry Cooley is going to be presenting at the ISHRS annual conference in about 2 weeks. I will be getting some information about that, and I'm going to be able to pass his findings, his ACEL findings, and his year-long study onto all of you guys, provide you with all that information. HITSIG is going to be presenting some more stuff that we'll be able to get here, probably right after the meeting, maybe, the day of the meeting. So in about 2 weeks. So there's a lot of great things happening. That stuff I can't tell you about because some of the stuff is, that I'm privy to, like I said, in the hair transplant world.
Okay.
These guys tell me in confidence. But I will say that everything is positive. There's nothing groundbreaking except, I'm not going to say that. It is groundbreaking in the sense that we're getting closer and closer to better treatments. I think we're getting closer to, greater yield, more, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not stability, but just more consistency when it comes to hair transplantation using these extracellular matrix type of products like ACEL. I think that, where, say, the average yield was 95%, maybe we're getting even closer to 100% yield. Maybe guys who might not have grown as well before, who may have gotten 50% yield just because of their biology, might have a better chance at having a better result with these new extracellular matrix products. So it's all positive. I think Replicel, though, is something that is extremely exciting. And let's hope, let's hope in the next year they're going to come back with some really great data.
Would you believe, Spencer, in your opinion, that some of these so-called hair transplant physicians are getting a little nervous when they read about things?
No, absolutely not, because what's going to happen is it's not going to be a proprietary. It's proprietary as far as the technology, but all of these guys are going to have the ability to do it in their practices. So Replicel is not going to be holding this close to their vest. Any hair doctor, any established hair loss doctor and hair transplant doctor is going to have the ability to do this first. So it's going to widen the playing field. There's going to be more doctors doing it, but there's also going to be a hell of a lot more patients who are going to be candidates for this because everyone basically will be a candidate. So it's just going to open the field wide open. More guys will get into hair, but the guys that are already doing transplants are just going to replace it with this new technology. It's not going to hurt anybody.
Well, they'll have to obviously pay a Replicel fee to use their procedure.
Absolutely. They're going to gladly pay the fee for something like this.
So if this comes to fruition, then cutting people's heads open will be a thing of the past.
If it does. But right now it's not, So, right. We will see. We will see. We're going to actually be putting up some really great video of the artist robotic hair transplant system. I should get that up by tomorrow or the next day. Some really great footage that we got our hands on. And, that's exciting stuff too. This is a robot that is performing under the guidance of a physician, is performing follicular unit extraction to a very, very high level, meaning that there's very little transection. They're able to do this now with less physician fatigue. They don't have to depend on training technicians to actually extract the tissue. And, so everything that is happening this year I think it's pretty big information. It's very exciting information. And I think hair loss sufferers really need to, if you're dealing with hair loss right now, it's probably the best time ever to be going bald, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. The robotics is pretty exciting, but it still doesn't create any more hair. You know what I'm saying? So,
it doesn't create any more hair, but if you can have a more consistent result using an automated system like this that's actually under the guidance of a physician, you're not just entrusting technicians who are training on a manual device, even though it's automated. They still have to actually use their own eye-hand coordination to make this work, and there could always be issues. I think this is a great step as far as automated hair transplantation is concerned. And with that said, if Replicel comes to fruition in the next few years, great. But if it doesn't, if it takes a little longer, then guys are still going to be able to really take advantage of the technology that is here now.
Well, I had a question. The machine you're talking about, is it basically like a computer numerical control type where it works on an axis?
Yeah, well, yeah, yes, I guess that's the way to describe it. Basically, the physician will sit in front of a monitor with a very specific view of where they're going to extract the grafts. And then the computer can then, with a push of a button, figure out the angle of the hair, even slight, under the skin, which is amazing. The chance of transection, what grafts are the best grafts to pick in that particular area. And then the doctor just basically has to look, see, whether or not they want to use that graft, and then they press the button and it automatically goes in and extracts it without transection, it's amazing. It's amazing that it has that type of, it's so intuitive that could actually tell what's going on underneath the tissue, which in fact, most, you have to realize that FUE is basically a blind procedure. So even in the most skilled hands, they're still kind of guesstimating whether or not they're going to be able to get, the graft out without transection. It's possible that a particular graft could be splayed, so that graft is going to be cut if you're not using blunt transection. So I think it makes the procedure possibly a little safer, a little faster, or a lot faster. And I don't know if that will eventually make it less expensive for patients. I don't think so, because the machine is pretty expensive. But if there's more consistency, less possible scarring and transection, then to me it's all good. I think it's just another tool in our arsenal.
But have you heard if ACell does actually create more hair, or you're not able to comment on that yet?
Say that again?
Have you heard if ACell actually, like certain doctors have claimed that it duplicates hairs?
What, ACell? Yeah, there's a couple of doctors that do. That Gary Hitzig has said that in the past. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said something to that effect.
Right, but has that been proven as yet? Do you have any new information on that, or are you waiting for Anchorage?
Yeah, I'm going to wait for Anchorage and to be able to pass that information on to you. But there are claims being made. I can say that.
Will your staff or you be Anchorage covering this event?
No, I'm not going to Anchorage.
Spencer, on the
first class with my movie camera.
Say it again. You want to go to Alaska? You want to fly to Alaska? You want to fly and then fly one of those little planes? I mean, you would flip out.
I've died to meet Sarah, man.
Your hat would freeze on your head.
No. That would be horrifying. They had to pry it off. I'd probably have a mental breakdown in Alaska. It would be horrifying.
Or be eaten by a bear.
Jesus. According to Andrew Zarian, George tried to contact, is trying to get in or call the show, and he can't get in, and I don't know why, because we do have a couple open lines, actually one open line. So try to call in 888-659-3727. Look, it's all exciting stuff. I'm excited about it, but it's not here yet. So I want people to be able to utilize what we have today And that's why I brought up the artist system. That's why I think that, the guys that are doing really good follicular unit transplantation are just changing lives. We had Jason Gardner from Dancing on Ice. I don't know if you saw that, Johnny, but we did an impromptu live hair transplant surgery, online. Andrew was kind enough to help us out through the GFQ network to get that up and running quickly because I had no notice to get it done.
Who did the surgery?
Dr. Craig Ziering. And I got to tell you, this guy's initial result, man, after his first procedure, he came up, he had wet hair. I mean, this guy was a Norwood 6. The result is beautiful. Wow. It is so clean, the work. And his hair was totally wet. He only had 3,100 grafts his first session. I think he got about 2,700 or 2,800 grafts this session. But what was great about Jason is that he's a really huge celebrity in the UK and Australia. He's not that well known here in the US, but he's huge out, overseas. And he was willing to come out and basically allow us to film him via Skype with his head being cut open. He's talking to me while he's face down on the table, and Craig Ziering is sewing up his donor area. And he was very candid. He was willing to talk about his insecurity about hair loss and how it made him feel. Talked about, and I talked about my concerns and, that it's really all about feeling comfortable in your own skin. That's why we decided to have surgery if you decide to go that route. And it was compelling. It really was. There's never been any real footage of someone's going through any type of cosmetic surgery while they were being interviewed. It's one thing to kind of be sitting there and having the grafts placed. It's another thing to having your open donor area sewn up live on the internet. You guys can see some of that footage on thebaldtruth.com. And also, I know that on guysfromqueens.com, they also have part of the footage as well. So you can check that out. But it was pretty compelling. And I guess my point is, so many people are just waiting to get something done. But we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. If you have the ability to, and the means to improve your life, there are some really great procedures being performed today. Standard follicular unit transplantation in the right hands is life-changing. It changes lives for the better. Do not be afraid, in my view, of the linear scar because, honestly, in order to get the most most bang for your buck in a hair transplant at this point, because we're not multiplying hair like some people are claiming, I think a hybrid of a traditional strip and FUE is probably the best way to go.
Plus, it's going to be hid.
That's right, but a lot of people fight me on that, John. A lot of people are like, why would you promote? You're just trying to make money promoting, strip procedures. The truth of the matter is, I am the guy that Ray Woods came to back in 1998 to try to help him get his procedure out to the masses, to try to convince doctors here in North America to take him seriously. And I really worked hard on that. And you know what? I was able to get that done. And with the help of a handful of doctors who embraced it, FUE was put on the map. And it changed the industry forever. So if I didn't want to see that happen, I would never have pushed it the way that I pushed it. And the truth is, I can find just as many guys now doing FUE who are doing strip, and I can, switch over the entire IHRS to all FUE surgeons if I wanted to. And all these guys would have check in hand. It wouldn't make a difference in my life. But I don't think that FUE is for everybody, in my view. And I'm sorry, John Cole, if you're listening, because he disagrees. And I understand your passion for the procedure because you're so good at what you do. But I certainly believe that most guys, and Jason said this, once they see that their hair has improved, their appearance has improved, they're not even thinking about the scar in the back of their head, especially if it's a well-done scar, because you can't see it.
Well, look at the guys that's had the multiple procedures with the high graft counts like Joe Tronics and Bob Mann, and there's many others out there with different surgeons, and you can't see the scar. Excuse me, you can't see the scar. I mean, it's invisible.
Well, that's right, and that's the point. That's the point of it being done well. And, so I don't know. Listen, it's easier for me to say, I guess, because I'm not having surgery at this point. But I wouldn't put my neck on the line. I wouldn't tell people to do this. I wouldn't tell people to give it a shot if I didn't think that, for the most part, the results are unbelievable. a life change. Listen, this guy Jason got a lot of shit, and so did Craig Ziering, because this guy decided to do his reveal on national television in the UK wearing like Durmatch or Topic on his head. But that was his choice. He decided to do that because he had more hair now. Now he's able to wear Topic and look like he has a completely full head of hair. So why the hell not? That's what he chose to do. You know, I don't believe he was trying to hide it or mislead anybody, because he was posting pictures of himself online without the Topic. You know what I mean? But people gave him so much shit, and also, you know, people were coming after Ziering. You know, you knew that he was going to wear Topic, this and that. Craig had no idea. He met him at the studio, and the guy had makeup in his head. What's he going to do? You know? But what he did here live through the Bald Truth and the GFQ network is he revealed his real head of hair, what he currently has. And it was wet, and it was slicked back, and it was messed up, and I got to tell you, it looked incredible. And that's the reality of a hair transplant. If it's done right, it looks great, and it gives you so many more options. It gave this guy the option, after only 3,100 grafts, to put a little makeup on his head and walk around looking like he has a completely full head of hair coming from Norwood 6. I think that says a lot. So for all you critics out there who have criticized Craig Ziering for this, or have criticized Jason Gardner for going on the air with makeup on his head, that's how he chose to present himself to the world. And he would not have been able to make himself look that good if it wasn't for the great hair transplant that he got.
Well, do you know if Greg Ziering is still involved with Histogen, Spencer?
He is. And again, you know, I put this great video out there. Thousands of people viewed it. Tens of thousands viewed it live. And all these guys are sending me emails. What about Histogen? How come you're not asking him about Histogen? If he had any more information to share with you guys about Histogen, I promise you, he would be on the show. He'd call in right now. He may be even watching the show or listening right now. You'll be the first to know. And that wasn't addressed to you, right, Joe. That was addressed to all these guys that, and again, I'm not complaining. I'm glad that they're contacting me, because it's important to be relevant, and we're helping a lot of people, but it's insane. The amount of emails that I get, and it's not just like, hi, I'm losing my hair, I need help. It's like they're demanding. Like I'm somehow holding this shit for ransom.
I know. A lot of people believe that. They're really stupid.
Yeah. Well.
Let me pose this. I don't think I have any way to talk. Let me just pose one question, Spencer. As you know, only approximately 2 to 5% of hair loss sufferers today seek any help.
Yes.
Any type of treatment. They say something really effective came along, like Replicel or something like Histogen really worked.
Right.
Like, phenomenal. What percentage of hair loss sufferers then do you believe would be seeking medical attention at that point?
Well, honestly, I think that it's going to be, based on, the ability to pay. So, the percentage would be much higher. But say that, 50 to 60% of hair loss sufferers had the ability to pay for the Replicel treatment. I would say at least 80% of those guys and women would have it done. 100% of the women, if they could afford it. And at least 80% of the guys that could afford it would have it done. So the percentages would be that much greater. And that's why I keep saying, for these guys who are they think hair transplant doctors are in fear that these things are going to come out. They're not. Why would they be in fear? Their jobs would be that much easier. They make so much more money. The market would be flooded. There wouldn't be enough doctors to cover the demand.
Well, just look at the sales of Propecia and Rogaine over it's during its inception until now, and both of them have had success, limited success, but some success.
Yes.
You bring this Replicel as maybe does, but let's say it has a 95%
success rate.
Success rate. Thank you. It's you look at the sales of those other procedures and drugs, and that has that kind of success. How much money they're going to make? It's going to be phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Really.
It's. Let's talk about. You got to put things in dollar signs, because that's what's going to motivate, and that's what it's not so much as is it going to cure hair loss is how much money are they going to be able to make, and if it's a product that definitely is that successful, they're really going to be able to profit from it.
Absolutely. And you don't think that I'm going to open up a clinic? Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding me? I will own Los Angeles.
I think what you ought to do is you need to get your own chain like McDonald's or Burger King.
Don't even need it. I will just commandeer this city. Get all the best doctors, get them under one roof or under one umbrella, and that's it. That's all I would need. I don't even need to be greedy.
Well, anyone will be able to do it, though.
Absolutely.
Any doctor, for that matter. I mean, the guys that are hanging the shingles out now that are doing, pardon the expression, the half-ass work, once they see this, I mean, they're going to make a fortune.
Absolutely, but the truth is, and this is just the way that it is, that if you have one that's under the umbrella of the American Hair Loss Association, everyone in LA is going to go there.
Oh, sure.
That's just the way that it is. So, for anyone who thinks that I don't want to see this happen, you are out of your minds. For anyone who thinks that I'm trying to somehow hold all this stuff close to the vest because I just want you guys to get hair transplants, you're crazy. That's complete lunacy.
Brett, of course you want it to happen because history's going to repeat itself again. We'll need you out there policing these doctors.
I'd be getting Suncast new wallpaper for his room. That's how excited I would be about it.
A new shower curtain.
No,
yeah.
Because the point I'm trying to make is that these doctors would have to fall under the umbrella of the IAHRS because obviously, deja vu, here we go again, the procedure will be out. People will be doing it incorrectly, destroying people's lives all over again.
Well, what's going to happen is, there will be people that will not want to pay the licensing fees to have this done correctly. And this is the sad world that we live in. There are doctors out there that are using Botox that they buy online that are paralyzing people, killing people. There are non-physicians who are doing Botox in the back of tanning salons, and they're not using real, Botox. Or what is it? What's the company that makes Botox? It's Allergan, right, Joe?
Allergan Corporation, Irvine, California, makes Botox.
Yeah. Hold on, guys. I'm getting a phone call in the middle of my show. How professional is this?
I don't like that. Nerve-wracking.
This is unbelievable.
I hope it's your father.
No, it's just some random number.
Probably George.
Yeah, you know what? It probably is George. George can't get to take it. I've taken phone calls on the air. Who knows who it is. But what was I saying, guys? You weren't even listening to me, so you can't help me out here. See, that's why I need a sidekick.
About people think you want to sell hair transplants. You don't want to.
Oh, I was also talking about. Well, that was a thought before. I was talking about Allergan and Botox and people selling phony products. And you got to understand there are going to be plenty of people out there, doctors. These are going to be doctors too, that are going to hang up a shingle, and they're going to claim they're doing a similar procedure as Replicel. They're not going to buy the license. They're not going to be doing it correctly. They're not going to be sending it to the correct labs. They may not even send it to a lab. They may be doing it in the back, trying to multiply these cells themselves. And it's possible that they're going to be injecting bacterium and viruses and all types of, causing people all types of issues and even death. So you're right, Joe. It will have to be somehow regulated to some degree, at least so the general public understands what they're getting involved in. And if these are... Go ahead.
I believe that you and your organization, the IAHRS, are the only people. You are basically the only person who's capable of this task, Spencer.
Well, that's very kind of you. I'm sure there are other people who are capable of it. I don't know if they're going to do it as thoroughly as I would. As thoroughly as I would, but whatever it is, and I appreciate that. Anyone who's considering doing any of this stuff, they're going to be conned. They're going to be ripped off, misled, and you're going to see people being disfigured and maybe dying. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it happens. It happens. There's so many frightening phony Botox stories out there. And I saw this story, I don't know if it was on, I think it was on Dr. Oz. And actually the guy Dr. Bauman knows this guy that this happened to, him and his wife. They went to get Botox. They didn't check to see if it was legitimate Botox. This guy's bought this doctor, and he's a legitimate doctor, bought the Botox online at a discounted rate, and it wasn't the real McCoy. It was just like a, slightly off, like slightly more botulism than the Allergan product uses. And these guys are basically both paralyzed. They were hospitalized in their entire bodies were paralyzed. And it took them, they did recover, but it took them like a year. And I forgot the name of the book because he wrote this, and this is the doctor that this happened to. I forgot the name. I have to look this up online. But all they wanted to do is get some, quick Botox injections. They were going to some sort of a family function to look better. And they trusted this guy, but they did not check the product before it was injected into their bodies. And most people won't. They just trust, I'm getting Botox? Yeah, whatever. They're not going to look at the bottle. They're not going to look for make sure that the seal's unbroken, that it's a legitimate Allergan product. They're not going to look for the, what is that called? It's not a seal, but it's a kind of changes colors when you move it around. I forgot what it's called. But, no one knows to do this. So, yeah, Joe, you're right. When this product comes out, when Replicel or any product similar to this comes out, there's going to be a lot of problems, and I think the general public is going to have to be able to go to physicians and practitioners they could really trust.
Spencer, I have to give you some bad news, though. I know you want to lead this career, you want to change careers, but unfortunately, I think we're getting closer to a cure. We're going to need you more than ever.
Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll just kind of let you and Andrew take care of things, and you can send me checks in the Bahamas.
Spencer, I'm not as capable. I don't possess the knowledge you do. You're the only person that's capable.
No, you know what? And I appreciate that. You do possess the knowledge, Joe. You're a really smart guy. You just don't have the confidence or the ability in your mind to go out there and be public about things and to get yourself out there in a big way. You do it through the show, but I know that you don't want to be a face out there. So I think that you sell yourself short.
If I had this treatment in the next 1 or 2 years that actually worked, I'd be actually appearing live in your studio in California and Andrew's studio.
Yeah, it's kind of and you're right about that. It's kind of like a hologram. I guess it's a hologram. Maybe it is a hologram. Maybe you're right. You're right, Suncast. You are right. Now, I want one of you guys to try to call in, either Suncast or Andrew, because apparently George can't get through, and I want to make sure that I'm not having problems with my lines. But I don't think Suncast has the courage to call in on a Sunday. I don't know what it is. No, I don't want you to call. You stay on the line because I want these lines to stay busy.
I'd call you on another line if you want me to.
Well, let's see if Suncast will call in, or Andrew. I don't know. Andrew may be drunk. He may be passed out by now. He looked half cocked when he put his camera on.
The hair was messed up.
Yeah, his hair was messed up. Jess is dancing around with a bottle of wine. She's great. He's a lucky man. Yeah, go ahead, dude.
Do you feel, in professional opinion, that I make a better presentation on the show, being that I divorced myself from drugs and alcohol, obviously temporarily while I'm on the air?
I would say I don't believe that you've completely you had to take some drug today. But I would say that since you are not really drinking on the program anymore, you are absolutely much more lucid. Your thought process is, again, very clear. You're getting the information out that you want to get out, and I think you're helping a lot of people, Joe.
Joe, I've said it before that you are an asset to this community, and I have to echo what Spencer said earlier. You just lack the confidence. There's no doubt you have the knowledge, and I think you would make an excellent spokesman.
Wow, you see that? You're gonna have to lose the accent a little bit if you're really gonna get yourself out there, Joe. But we can work on that. We can send you to to get some get your accent kind of softened a little bit. It'll take a little work, but you can do it.
He'd come here and live in Ohio with me.
Absolutely. What'd you say, Joe?
Well, Spencer, you're the person who really possesses it all, and I can never even shine your shoes, man.
Joe, man, come on. I appreciate that, but that's such bullshit. You don't think of yourself that way. You could shine my shoes. You could shine my shoes any day. Come on, You know I'm busting your
Can
balls.
Can I shine your shoulder bag, man?
I don't carry the shoulder bag anymore. All right.
Oh, you don't.
Now you busted on me, right, Joe? I was carrying the man purse with the hairspray, and you're letting the world know this now.
Well, I didn't mean a negative manner. 'Cause the first time we met, I noticed that. And I happened to glance and saw the brass knuckles in your bag.
Hey, Joe, he's nothing to worry about. It's just between us.
Yeah.
No, Spencer's a very statuesque, handsome man. When you meet him in person, he does have very beautiful hair.
Oh my God, Joe! Come on, dude.
Stanley Zarian is saying, Spencer, your phone isn't working.
Really?
That's in the chat room. I'm reading this.
Spencer, let me call you. Can I call you right now on the other line?
No, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to try to re-engage my second, bank of lines, and hopefully we can get more people on the air. Phone number is...
If you need me, please tell me. I'll call you in a while.
All right, man. No problem. Phone number, 888-659-3727, 888-659-3727. Give us a call. I'm going to work on the phones. Hopefully some more guys will be able to get through. You are watching and listening to The Bald Truth, coast to coast and worldwide. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us.
Oh, God, thank goodness I had a pen to get this complaint line. I, too, had a surgical implant, and I'll tell you what, it looked like hell. It looked like a paintbrush that had gone astray, missed a junk heap by about 4 or 5 feet. I tell you, well, I've spent over the years thousands of dollars trying to renew my hair. I've had hair surgery twice unsuccessfully. I've tried Rogaine. I've tried all kinds of things. I've tried rub-on ointments. I've bought and thrown out 4 or 5 wigs. And I've come to the conclusion that nothing seems to work. Perhaps Propecia might have helped me if I have diabetes, so I can't take that, or I don't want to. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do is get a rug and just get that thing glued on good and tight, and just go with the flow for a while, if you know what I mean. Because these guys have taken me to the cleanest. All right, man. Have a nice day.
You kind of have an effect on people, you know. You bring them around.
Sitting here on top of the hill, I've got everything I ever need in this world. Tonight.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727. Actually, I had the phones working. They were all lit up, and now, as soon as I get on the air, you guys dropped off. So call back. Hopefully they are working. 888-659-3727. Had to reboot one of my Vonage boxes, and hopefully that was the issue. You're listening and watching The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys, and sadly for girls who get it. 2/3 of you by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. If you're just tuning in, have never seen this broadcast before, first of all, I want to let all you guys know that we are now being syndicated internationally online through the GFQ network, GFQ live.tv, and guysfromqueens.com are the websites. You can obviously see the stream here on Stickcam, Ustream.tv, Justin.tv, it's Justin.tv. I'm relatively new to the other streams and other streaming sites. You can hear us on iTunes Radio Live. You can hear us replayed throughout the week, Stitcher Radio Live, and just so many places now. The Bald Truth is getting a lot of play. I want to thank Andrew Zarian for finally conceding to the tough contract that I had him sign, but thank you for that, Andrew. I'm very happy with everything, and love the guys from Queens. 888-659-3727. And the phone sounds better now. Johnny, that's cool. Johnny, you up there?
Yes.
Okay. Let me take a phone call. Let's see who this is. Hey, who's this? You're on the air. Hey, you're on the air. What can I do for you? I'm going to give you one more second to say hi. Maybe I'll listen to maybe I'll listen to this and see what's going on.
My voice.
Hey, who's this, man? You're on the air. I could hear you. All right, I'm going to hang up, bro. Take it easy.
Hello?
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 Yes, hi.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
Ben?
What can I do for you, sir?
Hey, Spencer, how are you? It's Mark from New Jersey.
Mark from New Jersey. What's happening?
I don't know if you remember me.
I remember a guy, Mark from Queens. But let me a little background, and I'll tell you if I remember you or not. I'll be honest.
Okay. Well, going way back. Yeah, I think you had written your first book, and I contacted you. Actually, came down to my brother's film set, and
Mark. Can I give your last name?
That's okay. I'd rather not.
Okay, so that's why I didn't recognize you, bro. You didn't give me your last name. What's happening?
How are you, Spencer? I tried to contact you a few times. I didn't know what numbers to get you at, and I think I left an email, but I got no response.
Well, did you leave an email through what site? It probably didn't come directly to me.
Yeah,
You know what, man? Go on Facebook. Are you on Facebook?
No, I'm not.
All right.
I'm not.
Contact me through Bald Truth Radio and just put your last, let them know who you are, and it'll be forwarded to me. So it's baldtruthradio@gmail.com.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry I got out of the loop for a while, and I was reaching out. I wanted to speak to you a few things, and I realized you were online right now.
So what's happening, man? What can I do? How you been?
It's been a struggle here, but I wanted to condolences for your brother. I think, right?
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I don't even know when the last time we spoke. It's probably been
it's been years.
Yeah, but you were really helpful all the way through, and then we just got out of the loop for a little bit, and I just wanted to reach out. It's great that you're continuing on, and you've done some great stuff, and I don't know, I think it was probably over 12 years ago initially spoke.
It was a long time ago, man. A long time ago. So
is Dr. Wood still practicing? I know Angela and Ray have split up.
Yeah, Dr. Woods is still practicing. Unfortunately, he's kind of just become like a footnote in the world of FUE.
Yeah.
And you know why. Sadly, he kind of wanted to keep everything close to his vest, and you were kind of there the whole step of the way. And you know what?
Yeah.
Guys just decided to give it a shot on their own, and you know what? They perfected it.
No, that's great, and it's too bad that he didn't, that didn't come through back then. But I mean, you guys are doing it, so
that's right. I could have. The bottom line is, you have to know when to say when. I feel bad for Ray because I honestly think that he meant well. He meant well, and he was really trying to I think to help a lot of patients. I just think he went about it in the wrong way, and there was I'm trying to couch my phrasing here, but there was a lot of misunderstanding. He really didn't see things, in my view, the way that they really were. And I think that he really could have, he could have made all the money that he wanted to make, but it just would have taken him a little bit more time.
Definitely. And I mean, you were definitely doing the right thing all the way through. And he was really apprehensive all the way around. He was just scared, and he was moving forward that way, and it wasn't the right way to move forward.
We had that Italian attorney. The whole thing was just, in my view, it was just not handled well.
Yeah, and so he's obviously. I think I keep in touch with Angela every now and then, but I think they're still practicing, but separately.
Yeah. So what's the story with that? How did they end up breaking up?
I just think that they found it was just better to work that way. Nothing specific, and every once in a while they do team up when they're needed.
Right.
I think maybe schedule wise and everything, it was easier for them there.
Have you been back to Australia to get any more work done?
No, I haven't. And if you remember, I think I was the first person to take Avidar on your program.
You know what? I think that you might have been. Yeah, you were actually.
Right. I don't know if you remember that, and I don't even know how many years ago that's been. And
so, how are you doing? Are you still on Avidar?
Still on Averdart, yeah.
Any adverse side effects? Everyone wants to know that.
No, nothing. However, I just recently, I think it's been, probably about 7 years on Averdart. No adverse side effects, but I've been reading a little bit, and that's why I did want to ask you, do you think it's possible temporarily to jump up to 2.5? Bernstein had done some studies, and I think a few other, in regards to using 2.5.
Well, what are you taking right now? 0.5 milligrams of Averdart?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what? It's again, you know this. I say this all the time. I have to preface what I'm about to say by letting everyone know I'm not a physician. However, there are guys that have done very well on 2.5 milligrams of Averdart with no adverse side effects. You need to speak to your doctor about it because, you know, the potential for adverse side effects with Averdart is much greater than it is and longer lasting than it is with finasteride. But since you've been on it for such a long time, your body apparently seems to tolerate it pretty well. I would talk to your doctor. Yeah, listen, if I remember, you were like the horniest guy in the world. I mean, you were like unbelievable with the ladies, and you probably still are.
No, you know, it had no effect whatsoever on that end. I mean, not that, you know, being horny, right? It simply had no effect on that end, and that's why I was getting ready to step up. Over the last month or so was weird. I probably saw the first thinning that I've ever seen at all since I've been on that.
How old you got to be? How old are you now? In your 40s?
46, I think. We're right around the same age.
We are the same age. Jesus, we're getting old, dude.
Yeah.
We were young men when we first met.
How long were you out? How long have you been out in California now?
I've been out here since 2001.
No. Wow.
I lived right by the World Trade Center, man. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Long time.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad I caught up with you, and I'm sorry that, you know, I do want to. Can you tell me your contact information again?
It's
I'll write you an email.
baldtruthradio@gmail.com.
baldtruthradio@gmail.com. Gmail. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually I'm living out of the country. I was down in Dominican Republic.
Oh, so you finally just made the move.
Well, I'm back and forth still. I come back to Jersey every now and then, but yeah, and just got out of the whole loop here. But
how's your family? How's the production company and everything going?
My brother's great. He's been out there by you and back and forth. He's probably more by you a lot, and good. I mean, you're always. Unfortunately, I just lost my father last week.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
You
have my sympathies.
Thank you. Yeah, there were 57 years with my mom together. But it was great. I mean, the family has really been pulling together, but I definitely want to say you've been unbelievably helpful for so many guys. It was so nice to, you know, come back and revisit. So my God, Spencer's still there and doing a great job. And for anyone listening, Spencer goes all the way back and a tremendous man. I mean, you really are.
Well, man, I really appreciate that, and you know, feel free to contact me. I'm sorry that we were not able to connect when you tried to contact me, but I will definitely get back to you once you send me an email.
Yeah, no, and again, yeah, thank you, and it's just really a pleasure. I mean, you've made such a difference in my life. Also, you're really compassionate and empathetic towards many different things. Not, you know, about here, I can see you take time for people, and you know, that's touched me way back, and to see you doing it is just stunning, and that's why I just happened to come across this. I just said, let me see where you're at, and I didn't even think I was going to get on. That's why when you said hello, I didn't know you were going to get me.
And how are you? Are you listening to the show? Are you watching the show? What are you doing?
I was having trouble pulling it up on my iPad. I couldn't do it on my iPad. Is that? It wasn't coming up.
The only way you can do it is if you have an app for the iPad.
Okay, so you have to add it?
Yeah, so you have to either add the Stickam app or you can add the Stitcher.com. You can go there and you can add the app. Or you can actually listen to the show on iTunes Radio, which you'll be able to listen to on your iPad. So if you go to iTunes Radio, you can find The Bald Truth through the GFQ network, and you can just listen.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I'll do that. And I do want to get back in a loop and see what's going on. Has there any new things come up? I mean, since, you know, let's do a gap of 7 years or so. Has anything changed?
Lots of new things. We were talking about a company by the name of Replicel, which is, I think, a real forerunner in the race to end this. So check out Replicel.com. And I didn't want to rehash the whole thing on the program now, but we can talk about that more. You can call next week or you can contact me.
Okay.
And that's some interesting stuff. Histogen.com is another company that's working on some really interesting stuff. And there's been a lot of advances in surgical hair restoration, which we can talk about. But why don't you try to call early next week, and we can talk more about it.
That would be great. Spencer, thank you very much, and it's great to speak with you.
All right,
and
bro.
I will reach out to you.
All right, take care. All right,
Okay.
good talking to you. Bye-bye. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer.
Hey, what's happening, man? How are you?
How's everything?
All right, high pitch. How are you doing?
Good. No complaints.
Yeah, how's...
Just wanted to call up to say hi to you and Joe and all you guys.
Let me pot Joe up. Let me pot Johnny up. It's hard when everyone's potted up because I kind of change the sound for every caller. But so Rich is here to say hi. Johnny, you still there?
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
All right.
Good. How's it going, Johnny?
I'm doing real well. Good to hear you.
Hey, likewise.
So tell me what's going on with you, man.
Basically nothing. I'm just in the way of the hair thing. Just that hair, most of it grew back.
So it did. So you actually had some regrowth. You were really afraid that it wouldn't grow back.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, all that time had passed, and I was getting to...
Rich, I just want to say I'm so happy for you. I really am. It really disturbed me what you had to go through, and also the treatment that you got afterwards. And what bothered me most is I know it wasn't Epstein's fault, but that was a referral from Epstein, and you did not have a great experience, and I was really concerned for you. So I'm glad that things worked out.
Yeah, hey, thank you. I still have like a cyst or a lump there. It didn't go away totally, but I've been thinking about seeing Dr. Bernstein again because he's the one that I have the prescription for the finasteride.
Right.
And the shots that I got from him seemed to work. When I got the shots from him,
All right, now we're having some phone issues. Go ahead, speak again, Rich.
Yeah, I was just saying that when I got the steroid shots from him, I didn't have any problems.
Well, you know what? You can go to him again and see how big the lump is, see what he thinks, tell him about the problems that you had, and ask him, his assessment of what he thinks happened. I would hate for you to go I would hate for you to go back, have some more done, and then go through the same process and freak out about it.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, let's put it this way. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be a glutton for punishment. I just think whatever was done by the other doctor here in Massachusetts wasn't done right. And when I had the shots from Dr. Bernstein, I didn't have any problems or any issues whatsoever. But in the way of the hair itself, he seemed very conservative. I think I told you that, Dr. Bernstein.
He's great. He is very conservative.
Yeah, and
By the way, Rich, you got a couple of guys in the chat room saying that you have a cool voice, and I just wrote that. It's high pitched Rich. I love this guy. So you got some fans, dude.
Hey, let me put it this way. As long as the women fans.
Say that again.
But anyway, as long as I get some women out there that are fans, that'd be great too.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah, but just basically, what I was saying was the reason why I went to see Dr. Epstein is Dr. Bernstein seemed just like Dr. Vogel to me. It seemed like I really wasn't going to make any progress in the way of changing the way it looked. And I've kind of, in a way, to be honest with you, given up a little bit with doctors right now. I'm just kind of putting it out of my mind. But I'd like to eventually.
Look, I understand that, Rich. And you know what? I want you to stay close to the show. I can't make you any promises, but I would like to, at some point, since you've been such a great fan, you've been a caller for a long time, and you've been through what you've been through, I would love to see if we can put you in touch with, when things come to fruition, just like I'm going to do with Joe, maybe these guys from Replicel, maybe the guys from Histogen, whatever it is. So just stay close to the show, and hopefully...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we can help you out in some way. I don't know if we can. I can never make you any promises, but I will tell you this. It may not be a bad idea to kind of step back and not worry about having more surgeries for a while and just kind of letting things rest, because you did have a scary experience. I'm glad that you've recovered, but I'm sure it was no fun. And I won't forget. Johnny Ohio says, don't forget you. I won't forget you, Johnny. I don't forget any of you guys, believe me.
Well, I mean, the other thing I want to say, I've been listening to you guys. I mean, I haven't had the chance to call, but I have been listening every week, and, I just feel like I'm compelled to listen every Sunday, no matter what.
Well, that's what we're going for here,
Yeah, well, you got me for sure. Because I just feel connected to you guys, I don't know what other way to put it.
Well, I want you to know how important that is to me, man. It makes me feel great that that I do what I do, and John, who just called earlier, said he found me through what I do, and we kind of we met, and I helped him out with this guy Ray Woods, and he was a very interesting guy, and I met his family, and they're in the business, so to speak, out here in Los Angeles. And I love hearing from you guys and knowing that what we're doing, even when it's a pain in my ass, even when I'm like, I don't want to do this effing show tonight, or I don't want to go online and answer 1,000 questions this week, it makes me feel great that you guys are really benefiting from what we're doing here. So I just thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate that.
No, I mean, hey, listen, I like listening to you guys, and you're also entertaining and funny. I mean, sometimes I really get a good laugh between you and Joe, and it's, and even, George, I know George hasn't called up that much the last couple of weeks, but anyway, I look forward to listening every week, and I just feel like, because I can discuss this problem that I have, and other people are going through the same problem I have, somewhere to vent.
Well, listen, dude, I'm just, again, you're going to keep me going for another couple of weeks, because, I deal with the business of hair loss, and it's such a effed up business. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I tell Yvette, let's just get out of here. Let's just forget about this thing. I've done enough for the last almost 15 years. Then I get a call like yours, or a call like John's, and I realize it's just important that we stick around and do what we do. So I want to thank you, man. Thank you for listening, and thank you for telling me how you feel about the show.
Oh, not a problem, Spencer. I just wanted to say one other quick thing real quick, and I'll let you go.
Sure.
As I know you've brought up your father, and I actually, my father was depressed for years, and he basically, I took care of him towards the whole end of his life.
You're breaking up a little bit, man.
Exactly what all. But in my situation, it was a few weeks ago where George was having a conversation with Joe about his attitude and everything. To me, because the way my father was, and even the emotional stress that the hair loss has caused me, I don't let anything bring me down. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my it's just, you can't let anything get to you. Life goes on.
Well, that's well said, and I understand the sentiment, because, I come from a family of, a father who has post-traumatic stress syndrome from the war, disorder from the war, suffered significant depression. He found his father dead after committing suicide when he was 11 years old. So I was burdened with all of this my entire life. And I always kind of felt like you. Like, I have to figure out a way to make myself, and, no matter what happens in life, you have your ups and your downs, but you have to kind of like get out of that depression and live your life and do whatever you can, because this is all we got. We have no other life.
That's right. I mean, you have to make the best of it. I mean, even with the hair thing, you know, getting back to that, I just put my cap on and live my life, Spencer, you know, and hope there's going to be a cure someday for all of us.
Yeah, you know, and I listen, dude. That's powerful stuff, and it's so true. And I try to say the same thing. And you know, I see people complain about such trivial shit in this world. And I'll go out to dinner with like a couple, and this guy's wife is complaining about, you know, just bullshit at work. And I'm like, do you have any idea what people go through? You know, people are living around the world, suffering, starving, dealing with, you know, and some people may say that about hair loss too, but we understand how hair loss affects our lives. But you just have to kind of figure, you know what, these are the cards we've been dealt. It's not great. It's a fraternity that we all belong to. It's not terrific, but we can figure out a way to enjoy ourselves. And that's what I try to tell Joe all the time. And I'm glad you brought it. I'm glad you brought it up.
Well, exactly. I mean, you could be blind and have no eyesight. I mean, there's something that would make hair loss seem absolutely not.
And I understand that because my father is legally blind. He actually lost most of his vision, I would say, for the last 6 or 7 years. Slowly gotten worse through wet macular degeneration. Yes, he's much older, but it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, that's probably one of the worst things that could happen to a person. And go ahead.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so I mean, his life has been very, very difficult with everything. And then my brother got killed, 5 years ago. So I think about my father sometimes, and with all the bullshit that I had to deal with growing up, with all the bullshit that I have to deal with, honestly, to this day, I try to put myself in my dad's shoes and just realize he's been through a lot. You know, I know that he's clinically depressed and all that stuff, but he's been through so much that he just he wasn't equipped to deal with everything that was thrown at him in his life. And in a way that benefited me because I saw that growing up, and I chose to figure out a way to get past everything.
Yeah, I mean, you just become. I think you become stronger. I just didn't want to live the life my father lived. You know, basically being depressed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into what caused his depression, but I'm not going to let the hair loss thing cause me to be depressed like that and give up. So that actually made me stronger.
Wow, man, I got to tell you that those are some powerful words, bro. And I'm so glad that you called tonight, and it was really uplifting. It really was, and I hope that Joe is listening and can understand that. He's not potted up now. I'll pot him up in a little bit. He's probably going to say, well, no matter what, I'm depressed because of my hair. No matter what happens in my life, I'm going to be depressed. And I get Joe's plight, but it's good to hear from a guy like you. So I appreciate the call, man.
Well, Spencer, I'll just say this last final thing. I mean, I understand totally where Joe's coming from, but I've been like this for 20 years, and it hasn't been exactly easy either on my life. It's really not. I haven't been living my life the way I want to live it, but I just make the best of it, and that's all you can do.
Well,
and I'm not. I'm sure there's plenty of other guys out there just like myself and Joe. So
well, absolutely, man.
On that final note, Spencer, I'll let you go, and I'm out there listening. I'm just letting you know.
Rich, man, we're a huge fan of yours. I want you to know that. Thanks for the call. All right, bro?
All right, thanks, Spencer.
All right, take care.
Yep.
Wow. That just, when this guy calls in, sometimes it just touches me. It really does. And this is a guy that's been through a lot. Let me pop up Joe. Joe, this guy's been through exactly what you've been through. Bad hair transplant. He's a little younger than you. He was screwed over multiple times, and he still has a good attitude.
Well, it's true. People like him, Marcus, they all have. They say they have pretty good attitudes, but I don't know how they really feel on the inside. I just want to make one brief comment, if you don't mind. We always say hair loss has an effect on us, makes us depressed. But I realize it also creates, unlike any other disease you may have, a domino effect, where our suffering affects people around us. Like in my case, it's destroyed my children, my marital life, my relatives. It's changed other people's lives. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. All depression, when you're living in a depressed state, it affects everyone around you. It affects your family. I grew up in a household where on the weekends, or Sunday when my father was home, he was sleeping all day. And I always say, he always smelled like Schlitz and Dentine. Either he was getting loaded or he was sleeping. And it was a very, very difficult life for a child because I never understood why. I thought it was my fault, or why doesn't he want to hang out with us? Or it affects you, man. It really does. It certainly does. And I chose to kind of not stay in the house. I was like a latchkey kid. I was I always say this, I was going to Yankee Stadium, 8 years old, taking the 6 train up to the Bronx and buying bleacher seats on, money that I saved for, birthday money over the years. I remember bleacher seats back then were like $5. You probably remember that. And,
No, because I never attended sports. And I never had any sports.
But when you think about an 8-year-old kid today taking the subway in New York up to the Bronx, how crazy that seems. But that's the kind of life that I led. And a lot of it is because I didn't really have the best home life. So I kind of stayed away from it. But with that said, I was exposed to a lot at a young age, hung out with kids who came from really, great, not saying my family was horrible by any means, I wasn't beaten or anything. But, came from people who came from families where the parents are more involved or whatever it is. And I kind of, learned from that example. So I guess I was lucky enough to live in a city like New York where I had some independence at a young age so that I can see how other people lived and more normal lives. And so I was able to kind of latch onto that and realize, you know what? I don't have to be like this. So, maybe your kids will do the same thing eventually. And I hope that they do because I know that's difficult for them. Let's take a phone call, Joe. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My son said he wishes, he had a normal father. He always says that.
I know, man.
Like my father, let me say one thing quick. My father doesn't drink any alcohol, doesn't do any drugs. He wants to know why I do so many drugs and drink so much alcohol. I said, because I'm a hell of a sufferer and you're not.
Yeah.
I said, you can never feel the pain that I feel.
That's heavy.
He goes, oh, that's bullshit. He said,
that's heavy, man. Well, I want to welcome a new viewer to the show, Chris Nex, who's put his camera on. I don't have my glasses on, dude, so I hope that's the right name. It's hard to tell. He's a brother, so he might just be shaving his head, whatever it is. But I want to welcome him to the chat room. It's great to see you, bro. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. Joe, I'm going to take another phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, I'm concerned about my hair loss. Can you help me with my concern?
I'll do my best, Marcus. How are you, bro?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for still being there. Joe, always the best to hear the news of the week. In fact, that to me is the new weekend update.
Joe?
I appreciate that, Marcus.
Say that again, Joe?
I appreciate that, Marcus.
All right. Now, Joe, did you have a happy hurricane?
No, because fortunately I survived it.
Oh, Jesus. So Marcus, you're in New York, man. Obviously, there wasn't a tremendous effect. I mean, New York, they lost their minds. I understand why. They closed the subways. And how was it? I don't know what area you live in, but how was it by you?
Okay, I live on the Upper West Side on Riverside Drive, but I got to tell you, it was a fantastic storm. All I can say is this. It was one of those perfect storms where I got sort of cornered with a person, and because the rain was coming down, we couldn't do anything but stay with each other.
That's awesome.
It's even better because, get on this, her name is Eileen, not Irene, but right. Eileen. So it was so synchronous, okay? Right. And frankly, I was going through a drought for about 6 weeks there. I hadn't had nothing. So we ended up together. She was fantastic. Afterwards, when things quieted down around, I guess it was probably 2:30 a.m., maybe close to 3, we went back out, and, it's funny because they had all these zones. Zone A was the evacuation zones. B was the, alert zone. all I can do, we were in the Lower East Side. I got to tell you, that was Zone P for party last night. It was fantastic.
Wow. Well, good for you,
man. I'm hoping for another storm. In fact, here's what I would say to all the guys out there: whenever a catastrophe strikes, that's when women, and I hate to make this sound so predatory, but that's when women are so vulnerable.
Dude, I'm telling you, Thanksgiving Eve at a bar, Christmas Eve at a bar, and even Halloween at times at a bar.
Yeah.
Easy pickings, bro. Especially in New York.
I mean, I hadn't seen so much desperation on female faces since 9/11. And 9/11, that was like, I mean, hey, if anybody was looking to impregnate someone, it was on 9/11.
Right.
I got to tell you.
But you're right. It's tragedies and holidays.
That's pathetic, but it's the truth.
That is the truth. And listen, it is what it is. And that's the one thing I miss about New York and being single. Because those were some great times. Great times.
That's true, but you know what? At 9/11, I was hooked up back then with a pretty steady woman, and I ended up in one of only 2 threesomes in my life on 9/11 with her.
You're unbelievable, man.
No. I got to tell you, come on. I've only had 2 in my whole life.
We got to give you your own show.
No. It was. Hey, again, I lucked out, and honestly, and you know this probably as well as anyone, Spence. When you're rolling with a nice-looking woman, you can pick up other women because of that.
Oh, absolutely, man.
All right.
It's always been that way.
There you go. And she took me to that 3-way. It was not on my account. It was simply because I was drafting on her.
That's I think Johnny's chatting in the chat room. I have him on hold. I think he wants to talk to you directly because I think he's in awe of Marcus. Johnny, you there?
Marcus, I am bowing to you right now. I'm not worthy to be in your presence, dude.
No.
You are the man.
Johnny, you are a fellow Buckeye. So I am completely, we are on the same team here.
Oh, okay, yeah, but not one threesome. I've never had one. This dude scored 3 of them, man. I'm telling you.
Who?
You imagine?
I've only had 2.
I can imagine.
I've only had 2 in my whole life, and one was way back in college with a guy who I met for the first time, and he ended up being really good friends with me for the rest of my life. In fact, we're still in contact, but it was his girlfriend that we shagged up with, and it was fantastic because he's this blonde Californian kid, and she was a black American.
Oh my God!
And on top of that, man, she had what I call Steinway legs. You know those Steinway grand pianos?
Yeah.
She had these beautiful Steinway.
So it wasn't really a
legs,
threesome. It was more like a double team.
Oh, tell me, we were ganging, and this is before the blue pill and Cialis, and that's
right.
A good thing for her because otherwise she would have been abused. I mean, as is, we were stretching her wall to wall. It was intense.
Jesus.
Rode hard and put up wet to dry.
It was fantastic. See, I mean, that was just so statuesque. That girl, she was excellent. I'm
Jesus.
What can you say?
That's some
Marcus
story.
could write a book.
You're getting Suncast all excited in the room.
Oh no! Come on, we got to be this way because hey, folks, let's be honest. We suffer from this affliction. It is the one sort of compensatory pleasure we can have to soften this blow.
I agree. I always say it's one of really only God's only true gifts to us is the ability to do this, to have sex.
Absolutely.
And there's so many people out there that are avoiding it because they're afraid of being exposed about their hair loss. And George is one of them. And George hasn't called in, but George is a guy that will not. He's a good-looking dude who will not go out and get laid because he's afraid that someone's going to discover the paint job. I don't even understand that. To me, it's like
you won't need a steak either.
Yeah, that's right. You put that shit on the table right away and just move on.
I know. And here's the other thing.
You get some booze.
Well, Johnny, he doesn't drink, so.
I know, but Marcus, would you say that alcohol definitely helps the situation?
Well, alcohol lubricates the conversation,
Conversation. Exactly.
Situation. Let's be honest, man. Whatever it's dancing, or if you're into playing, matching up with tennis or whatever it is, the situation about when you get between those covers.
Right.
And
Andrew's
in
got
that
to get
respect,
you your own show, Marcus. He's got to. Andrew, you've got to get this guy his own show.
Yeah, we'll work on it. But guys, I got about a minute left before I got a break. So, Marcus, did you want to add anything else besides making everyone feel bad about their sex lives?
Let me rifle through three items on hair. One, divergent. I'm divergent with you, Spencer, and you know that I respect you, man. You are clearly the king of the subject matter. However, I would not put Cole in as high a slot as you do. I think Cole hot on the bandwagon a little too early on certain therapies that he himself has not perfected and mastered. Also, case in point with body hair transplants, and he was doing stuff, and even though he gave the disclaimer, it was not right that he was so aggressive with those body hair transplants. And he's doing the same thing now, I hear, with PRP, and I'm not so sure he's the best in the world to go to for that.
I think those are fair comments, and I certainly understand because you've had personal experience.
Okay. The other one is this. I believe if anyone is under 45 years of age today, given the real promising developments that we may indeed be on the cusp of, I would not encourage anyone to get cut. I would put a moratorium in the next 18 months to 2 years, because I really think in this window we're going to find out some things.
Well, listen, I absolutely respect your opinion. You're a guy who's been through the mill. You have been through it more than anyone that I know. So your opinion counts for sure. And I certainly appreciate the fact having a differing opinion than you. I mean, I'm glad that you're able to come to me and say, hey, Spence, I respect you, but this is the way that I feel. And this is what I think.
Right.
And I certainly appreciate that. And you know what? You deserve this platform because you've been through it more than anybody else. You've been cut, you've been disfigured, you've been screwed over by everybody.
There you go. But at the same time, I will not dispel what you have said in terms of the effectiveness of some of these FUE as well as strip transplants. And they are certainly better today than they were 10, 15 years ago. And some guys are clearly being helped. However, as you know, and as you've said, once you're cut, you're cut.
Right.
Also, if you're in your 30s or 20s, you're getting a job done that may look fantastic now, but you're going to be chasing some hair loss progression probably for the next 15 or 20 years. So the results that you're getting today are impermanent.
That's true, for sure.
And therefore, why get cut when we have a guy like Joe from Staten Island who's doing the due diligence and the research? As what I believe that even Joe's activities, as well as your voice, Spencer, I truly believe that both of you gentlemen are in some ways helping to spur on these developments. Yeah, they're going to take place in a laboratory somewhere, and scientists are going to bring them to fruition. But the fact that both of you are is almost propelling this science forward. And that is as high as praise as I can bestow at this moment.
Well, Marcus, man, I always appreciate what you have to say on this program, and I don't give a shit if you disagree with me. I love the fact that you feel comfortable enough to come on the program and say, you know what, I don't agree with this point. So I don't want you to ever feel like, I don't know if I want to disagree with Spencer. You don't have to couch it in any way. You have the right to disagree with me, and you have the right to say what you want to say because you are someone who lived this. And I've never actually been cut. I've tried to guide people safely over the years. I try to let people know, you know what, once you are cut, you're cut, like you said, that there's no turning back. And if you can avoid surgery, it should always be your last resort. So,
right.
How do I disagree with what you just said? I personally think that life is short. I am not convinced that things are going to come down the pike as soon as a lot of guys think they will. I think it's going to be here, but I think that if you have the means and you have the and you have the, if you're suffering and if you can improve your life, at least temporarily until something else comes down the pike, then you might not be as concerned about catching up and keeping up with future hair loss when these other treatments are actually here. So,
yours are very legitimate viewpoints. I'm simply saying that, especially for these non-surgical modalities that may indeed be forthcoming, any patient will be so much better off if they have an uncompromised terrain on which to operate.
Right.
For instance, whatever comes down the pike for me, it's probably going to have to be either qualified and or modified or enhanced with something else because, hey, so much of my scalp is basically dead tissue.
It's scarred, yeah.
There you go.
Well, listen, go ahead. This is the last thought, and I got to get off the air.
Right. But that being the case, hey, I'm encouraged and excited about these developments. As I've told you in the phone calls past, PRP, I think, could be a nice little bridge for people to get to those better treatments if and when they materialize.
Well, listen, man, thank you for that. I'm glad that you've had success with PRP, and I think we can talk about it. Call earlier next week so we have some more time. Guys, I got to get out of here.
Right.
Joe and Johnny, thank you so much. Marcus, thank you so much for calling. Everyone else who called in tonight, thank you so much. It's been a great show. I'm sorry that I had some problems with the phones, but you know what? Shit happens. What are you going to do? The website's thebaldtruth.com. You can check out full archives of the program now on The Bald Truth. And also you can check out full archives on guysfromqueens.com. And Guys from Queens will be doing replays throughout the week of The Bald Truth, which is awesome. You can also check out replays on iTunes Radio and Stitcher and every place else that the Guys from Queens airs their network. Websites for the Women's Hair Loss Project is womenshairlossproject.com. American Hair Loss Association is americanhairloss.org. And, of course, if you're considering surgical hair restoration, check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, IAHRS.org. Please remember that all accepted members of the IAHRS pay an annual screening fee of a minimum of $12,000 annually. And that's it. Until next time. You know what? Check out the forum. If you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, you can check out our message forum, which is the fastest growing forum in the industry, which is wild. It's been like not even 3 years, and it's the most traffic forum out there. It's baldtruthtalk.com. And I want to thank all of you guys for making Bald Truth Talk what it is today. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, for my listeners, for this program, for all the guys out there that are fans of the Bald Truth, the forum would never be where it is today in such a short period of time. So thank you for that. Until next time, I want you all to be strong and God bless. And thank you so much for hanging out. Take care.
I'd like to thank all of my guests today. They did a swell job in showing us how easy it is so that we can really do it. If I can do it, they can do it, you can do it. Bye-bye for now.